greatest fight ever. We relive boxing's legendary battle. It's Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Muhammad Ali. All in their prime, as we bring you 15 of the greatest rounds of all time.
NBC Saturday Sports Showcase presents the greatest fight ever. And now from Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, here's Marv Albert and the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco.
We welcome you to the third edition in our series of the greatest fights ever. And today we examine 15 of the all-time greatest rounds in the history of boxing. And Ferdy, it should be pointed out that our judgments here are purely subjective.
They are, and in picking these rounds, we'd established that we'd pick a round that changed maybe the course of the history of boxing, such as the long count, or of historical importance, Joe Louis, Max Schmeling, or a round that was so significant because the fighter was hopelessly beaten, yet somehow turned the fight around and won the title.
And to help us take a close-up look at these 15 greatest rounds, we are joined by an esteemed panel. Of course, panels, as you know, are always esteemed. And we have with us the legendary Old Mongoose, the one-time light heavyweight champion, Archie Moore. A voice synonymous with boxing. He's called so many of the boxing classics down through the years. Don Dunphy, one of boxing's premier trainers. Among those he has handled Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard, Angelo Dundee. And a man who has experienced a lifetime of boxing as a top-ranked middleweight, one of the sport's superb trainers currently handling Evander Holyfield and Meldrick Taylor, George Benton. Gentlemen, we'll be hearing from you throughout the show, but let's get started with the first of our 15 greatest rounds.
We begin our historical retrospective in the 1910s. The decade's tone was set early on, when in 1912, the luxury liner Titanic sank into the frigid Atlantic a few hours after striking an iceberg. The war to end all wars raged on in Europe, ultimately claiming the lives of over 120,000 American troops. Back home, the Ziegfeld Follies served as the entertainment craze and established the trend for the fashion-conscious woman. Following the war, America once again turned to the sports world. The national pastime grew in popularity until the 1919 Black Sox scandal threatened the game's integrity.
And the first of our greatest rounds also occurred in that year. It was a David and Goliath matchup. The reigning heavyweight champion, 6'7" Jess Willard, defending his crown against the underdog contender, Jack Dempsey. It was a hot Independence Day at the Toledo Arena in Toledo, Ohio, 110 degrees. And Ferdy, look at the difference in size. Jess Willard at 6'7", Jack Dempsey around 6 feet. Dempsey giving away nearly 6 inches and 50 pounds and 7 inches in reach. Willard, 37 years old. And here's the other discrepancy. Dempsey at 24 years of age.
And there was yet another difference. As the bell sounded to begin that first round, Dempsey's manager, Jack Doc Kearns, leaned in, grabbed his fighter, and said, "Listen, I bet our entire purse that you can knock this guy out in the first round." Dempsey looked at him and had to go out, and he has a great deal of urgency in this fight. All the money he's going to make is riding on this first round.
And as you watch Dempsey and Willard, you can see a distinct difference in boxing style and strategy from some 70 years ago.
Well, you can almost see a transition here. The champion, Jess Willard, the old stand-up straight Marcus the Queenberry style that was the way they fought in those days. Dempsey is a transition period. He is an animal. He's a panther. He's well-tanned, he's strong, and he's crouching, bobbing, and weaving. He's doing all the things we do today. He had to get in there under the reach of this tall guy, and remember, he's got to destroy him.
And there's the first knockdown of the round as Jess Willard is put down by Jack Dempsey.
First thing to notice here is Willard is just barely up when Dempsey has attacked him. In those days, you could do that. You could just hang around. Now watch Dempsey. He doesn't move away. Even the referee's not pushing him.
No rules at the time concerning the boxer going to the neutral corner. And another onslaught by Dempsey. That's the third time that Willard has gone down in the round, and obviously there is no 3 knockdown rule in effect.
In those days, if you could get up, no matter what, now watch. Willard has his back turned, and even with his back turned, Dempsey knocks him down for the 4th time.
And Jack Dempsey's entire purse of $27,500 riding on stopping Willard in the first round.
And he's certainly trying as hard as he can. All this time, major physical damage is being inflicted on Willard. Willard continues to get up, and Dempsey is getting arm weary. And he's got a great sense of urgency. He knows he's got seconds to go in order to get Willard out of there and win his bet.
Willard in trouble again on the ropes right here, and Willard is put down for the 6th time in the round. Now, he's apparently counted out, but saved by the bell. Unbelievably, he gets up again, and he is smothered again by Dempsey. Now, Jess Willard did survive the first round, but could not answer the bell for round 4. So Dempsey won the title, but lost the bet.
Don, your reaction to Dempsey hovering right over him and hitting him as soon as he got up?
Well, the rules were different in those days, Bertie. You didn't have to go to a neutral corner. And Willard was down, and Dempsey took advantage of that. But this was to cost Dempsey later on in the Tunney fight. He stood over Tunney when the referee said, go to the neutral corner. It cost him 6 or 8 seconds. What I'm fascinated about this fight is that Willard, the champion, his gloves are down at his hips. I don't know how you can fight that way. No wonder he got hit so well.
By the same token, Dempsey had his gloves down by his hips, too. And he didn't show too much so far as defense was concerned, because he was an aggressive man. And that was exactly when in those days, they needed the commissioners and all these rule-making people who make rules for the protection of the safety of the fighter, because the man could have got killed.
Georgie, could a guy like Dempsey cause that much damage to Jess Willard? He broke his jawbone, he broke his jaw, he knocked out teeth, and he broke his ribs in that first round, according to historians. Could a guy do that much damage with his fist unless he had something in his glove?
Well, I can imagine he could, because Dempsey was a terrific puncher, and it was a heavyweight, you know. And with those small gloves on, you got, protection. And when you were swinging the way those guys were swinging, they were swinging from down home. You know, when he was throwing punches with everything he had. And, he was strong men at that time. You know, those men were stronger than men are today. The men of that time, 180 pounds, 185 pounds, was stronger.
Now, Angelo, would you have thought that tall, 6'7" Willard could have fought any more after that kind of beating in the first round?
No, I thought the shellacking he took in that first round would have been enough. In fact, if I'd have been there, I probably would have stopped the fight.
Okay, when we come back, we go to the Roaring 20s. It'll be Dempsey again, this time against Gene Tunney.